For the first time in history, the navies of every superpower on the planet are united against a common enemy. Crammed together in their tiny open boats, these hyenas of the sea range over 1,000 kilometers from their home shores. A couple of thousand ragtag men and boys, Somali pirates. Armed with ancient AK-47s and rocket-propelled grenades, they scour the Indian Ocean's shipping lanes. It's a war that's costing the world economy over $12 billion every year. It's a war that seems impossible to win. And the Paradise Islands of Seychelles have found themselves on the front line of that war.
They told me that they don't worry about the world. It's the world that worries about men.
One of several daily international flights brings visitors from Europe and beyond. Best known as the ultimate paradise vacation destination, the country has found itself at the forefront of the world stage for a very different reason. The 85,000 residents of Seychelles live mainly on a cluster of 3 islands, known as the Inner Islands. Here, for most people, life goes on as normal. But Seychelles' territorial waters extend across over 1 million square kilometers of the central Indian Ocean. And among the outer islands, in the international shipping lanes, and in the rich fishing grounds, it's a very different story. Because one of Seychelles' closest neighbors is the failed state of Somalia. As naval operations have intensified to protect shipping in the Gulf of Aden, Somali pirates have started ranging further south and east into the Indian Ocean in search of prey, bringing them into what had, until now, been the safe waters of the Seychelles archipelago.
Because when I was caught, it was the first time. I was the first guy from Seychelles to be caught by pirates.
Delivering a 12-meter catamaran from Seychelles to Madagascar, Gilbert Victor was blissfully unaware of any risk. No pirate activity had, at the time, been recorded in the seas of southern Seychelles.
Because, you know, Indian Ocean was always a good ocean to sail. So we were always happy just to go sailing, you know? Put all the lights on, have fun, play music. That's what happened to us. When we were caught, we were playing music because that's why we never heard these people coming. We only knew we were being caught when we saw the guy on the boat.
Hearing a loud bang from the stern, he emerged from the cabin to be confronted by 4 barefoot, ragged Somalis holding guns. In that moment, his life changed forever. He was now a hostage. It took 2 weeks sailing at gunpoint before they dropped anchor off the Somali coast. For Gilbert, it was the start of a nightmare ordeal. And for the whole island nation of Seychelles, it was the start of a war unique in the 21st century. A war against pirates. Because with the taking of another vessel just days after Gilbert's capture, realization started to dawn that they were under siege.
And we in Seychelles found ourselves really in the eye of the storm. we were on the front line as far as the Western Indian Ocean goes, in terms of the attacks of the pirates. At one point, there were many attacks in the space of a few days. You could count many attacks north, south, east, and west of the Seychelles group.
2010 was the peak year for piracy to date, with Somali pirates seizing 49 vessels and taking over 1,000 hostages throughout the whole Western Indian Ocean. Attacks were occurring as frequently as one every other day, though only a small proportion successful. Vessels taken range from yachts and fishing boats up to tankers and cargo ships. It's these large ships that bring in the big money. In 2011, pirates are said to have received ransoms of $146 million, an average of almost $5 million per ship. Free spirits roaming the Seychelles plateau in search of their catches. The fishermen of Seychelles have been the worst hit, but often the least known victims.
The hostage-taking of our fishermen by the Somali pirates is creating the fear in our fishermen. It is creating panic within the fishing community. It is creating panic within the families of the fishermen. The fear is there. Will my husband, will my brother be the next one to be taken by the pirate? It is creating a major psychological impact on our families and on our fishing community.
The massive industrial fishing boats have also suffered. Since 2008, there have been over 50 attacks in the Western Indian Ocean on tuna boats alone, with the pirates succeeding in hijacking the ships on 3 occasions. Worth many millions of dollars, owners are anxious to get them back, though there's always a price to be paid. This Spanish tuna vessel had already been attacked twice by pirates. On the first occasion, the ship and crew were held for 47 days and only released after a ransom alleged to be around $3 million was paid. More recently, she was the victim of a second pirate attack, this time repelled by shots fired by the ship's onboard security team. She continues to work in Seychelles waters, but is one of a reducing number of boats that do. Many have already left to fish in safer seas. 226 Japanese vessels were fishing the Indian Ocean in 2006. Due to piracy, this number has now more than halved. Seychelles' most basic industry is being crippled by the actions of the pirates. Unmanned US drones fly daily from Mahe Airport. Their huge range enables them to track the movements of suspected pirates, even before they enter Seychelles waters. They're just part of the international effort aimed at making the Indian Ocean safe once more for seafarers. Accepting that Somali pirates were now a threat spreading far beyond their home seas, it was the start of an unprecedented naval operation focused on the islands.
The fact that we have so many international forces working together, all the way from the forces in the Far East to the Gulf states, to the African states, the Asian states, the European, the American forces, is really something which is extraordinary.
Seychelles is also playing its part. The Seychelles Defence Force flies daily patrols to the very limits of the country's vast territorial waters. The evidence they gather has already proved crucial in the conviction of several groups of pirates. But despite the very latest of technology, the international force is struggling to defeat the scourge of an estimated couple of thousand Somalis in tiny boats who are pillaging the shipping lanes of the Western Indian Ocean. The area is vast. It's been compared to trying to patrol the whole of the United States with just a dozen or so cop cars. And the targets are tiny. They literally slip under the radar. These convicted pirates, on a work party at Seychelles Hilltop Prison, are among those who have brought chaos to the Indian Ocean. So what drove them to become pirates?
The root cause of piracy has been the fact that the world has left Somalia to its own devices for many, many, many years, which has resulted in a state of anarchy, a state of lawlessness, and a total breakdown in the whole state of Somalia. Basically, Somalia became a failed state.
With no functioning government since 1991, the seas off Somalia fell victim of twin evils: the pillage of fish stocks by foreign fishing fleets and uncontrolled toxic waste dumping. Calling themselves the Somali Coast Guard, small bands of Somali fishermen who saw their livelihood being taken from them started approaching the foreign vessels fishing illegally in their waters and hijacking them to extract compensation from them.
This is how piracy started in Somalia, but it started because the world forgot about Somalia, and we left Somalia to its own devices for 20 years or more.
But things have moved on. Piracy has become big business.
Piracy is organized crime. There is a lot of money that goes behind the organization of a mission out to sea by the pirates. It involves international financing. It involves a number of people who are involved in terrorism. It involves a number of people who are in it just for the money and as a result of monies that they have gotten elsewhere through other illegal activities. And it involves also people from within Somalia who are putting in money in an attempt to recover larger dividends from that investment. They see it in that way as an investment. A very lucrative, risky but lucrative business nonetheless.
From just one boat a few years ago that dealt with fisheries protection, the Seychelles Coast Guard now operates from a brand new base on Mahe Island, has multiplied in size, and now has several vessels in active service to counter piracy. They patrol the whole of the exclusive economic zone of the islands, providing protection to all boats passing through the region. They have a no-nonsense approach to piracy. While many navies are hindered by their rules of engagement, the Seychelles Coast Guard do not hesitate to act decisively, for which skipper Stephen Barbe will be eternally grateful, after his fishing boat was hijacked within sight of Mahe Island.
I just saw the crew on board in front of the cabin coming outside like this, hands up.
Pirates, a lot of black men, two fiberglass, yeah, coming on board, yeah. Just stop, yeah. Stay where you are, nobody move, move.
And my crew came out like this, so I tried to go on the SSB to make a distress call. But I didn't have time. They came in the cabin with guns and told me to put everything down and shut all the equipment, everything, all the light, total darkness.
Put the captain on the wheel, going to Somali.
So about halfway, we meet a cargo boat, and they tried to attack the cargo boat. At the cargo, they fired 3 RPG, but it didn't hit the cargo. It just goes up and dropped down. They didn't get the boat. The captain fastened the ship and they left. I heard the captain on the VHF radio. He gave a warning that there is a pirate attack in this area. And afterwards, I know that there will be some kind of patrol will go in this area, in this zone, or maybe a ship or a plane, something like that.
If you not understand them, there's a problem. They put this weapon on you. Oh, go sleep.
To try and slow down their progress towards Somalia, Stephen manages to tamper with the engine.
There's one guy with me looking at everything I do. I do everything with my hand, but I was trying to do something with my feet also, just to try to stop the engine. I close the sea-coker, and when the engine starts, the engine get warm and stop. And we stopped there for about 2 days, still adrift. And then when the plane come and search in the area, they saw us. And then the Coast Guard came and come and rescue us. When they came, they gave warning signal. They say, stop the boat.
Stop. Did not understand. Continue going. And the Coast Guard coming. Pop.
The Coast Guard started to fall on the waterline of the boat, just trying to sink the boat. But there was one pirate sitting over there. He gets shot in the arm. Afterwards, the shooting came in from the boat. And there was one at the back get shot in the legs. And he died afterwards.
The sea lanes are the highways connecting Seychelles to the world, and piracy threatens those highways. Running a regular route through these waters, pirates have become almost an everyday phenomenon for the captain of the Maersk Weymouth.
Any ship, any vessel we meet there, we always keep clearance. If we turn our course, keep parallel always to his course. After we increase speed, increase up to 18 knots this vessel. So they chase, the pirates, because if we change course, they change also course. If it is a normal fishing boat, they don't move, but they're chasing. So this area very dangerous for pirates. Sometimes pirates here, sometimes here. So we pass always here, but sometimes with pirates 1, 2, 3 boats. You change your course like this, they change also. You increase speed, they increase also speed.
With the cost of armed onboard security being prohibitive, it's back to basics.
That's why, only wives, but they have nothing. If they give us arms, it's better. It's better to give arms. It's dangerous, Pirates, if they're very near, they have this, they will also shoot us,
A modern container ship and its cargo could be worth several $1 million in ransom. And the ship's trading circuit means that she is rarely out of the pirate sphere of activity.
Every night we pray for safety here, because this is our life. Pirates, anytime, we don't know what will happen to us.
The pirate threat means higher insurance premiums for ship owners and longer routes as ships divert to avoid piracy hotspots. These extra costs are passed on, and the price of imported goods in Seychelles reflects this. When suspected pirates are located, the first challenge is to stop them. Even when the odds are totally stacked against them, they make one desperate and hopeless last dash for freedom. When a pirate vessel is captured, the security forces gather intelligence about their activities. Crammed with fuel drums to increase the range of their forays, there's little room on board for the pirate crew. The stash of weapons shows just how serious a mission this was. And the homemade roofing ladder is ideal for boarding high-sided ships. While capturing suspect pirates is a military issue, the different countries involved have differing laws and differing burdens of proof, which results at times in the Somalis being released without charges being brought.
When there are not enough evidences, the normal procedure is to catch and release them. We take away the weapons, the fuel, and so on, and normally we put them near the beach of Somalia.
Until the surge in Somali pirate activity, the Seychelles Coast Guard and courts were hampered by anti-piracy laws that hadn't changed since Blackbeard roamed the seas. New legislation has now brought piracy laws into the 21st century, laws that go far beyond those of many of its allies.
The Seychelles has a residual law which says that if you're engaged or involved in a piracy act or you are prepared for piracy, then that too can be prosecuted. And I'm pleased that that's on the statute books, because they're the ones we want to get, and they're the ones that we can detain and still prosecute for being involved in acts of piracy, even though we haven't shown that they attacked any ship, even though they haven't kidnapped any seafarers, and even though they haven't made any ransom demand.
There are no holding cells at Victoria's small central court, so the alleged pirates sit outside waiting for their hearing. Michael Mulkerrins has prosecuted and jailed more Somali pirates than anyone else on the planet. A British Crown prosecution lawyer, more usually found dealing with murder cases in London's Old Bailey, his presence in Seychelles evidences the clear international commitment to jailing suspected pirates. In court today, he's dealing with a preliminary hearing in the prosecution of 14 alleged pirates, one of whom claims to be only 11 years old. But none of the suspects have any papers or identification.
In all cases bar one, the defence has been, we are innocent fishermen, we're out on the seas, either our engine is broken down and we were looking for help, or we were asking for water. That's been their defence.
Okay, you've all given statements to say that you were fishing. I'm your lawyer. Prove to me that you were fishing. Show me a line, show me a hook, show me a little bit of bait. They just stare at me. And this is the kind of people they are.
On the very last case, which I've done, the defence was that we were economic migrants heading from Somalia to South Africa, which is a new one. And from the lawyer's point of view, needs a little bit more care as to how you deal with it, because it's more difficult to disprove. It just goes to show that the pirates are adapting their defences, and because I think they know that running the defence of we're innocent fishermen is not paying them any dividends, so they're changing their tack, which is quite an interesting feature in the way we deal with these cases.
If convicted, there's a high price to pay.
The minimum sentence has been 6 years, and the maximum has been 24. The principles that govern any sentence reflect the facts of the given case. And the 24-year sentence, I feel, reflected the fact that firearms were used on board and an injury was sustained to one of the Seychelles fishermen. If there's an injury to a civilian, the pirates will be looking at more hefty sentences than otherwise would be the case.
Success in capturing and prosecuting Somali pirates creates its own problems. Prison overcrowding.
1 in 5 of our prison population are Somali, which is a ratio that I think no other country has anywhere in the world.
The number of Somalis raises other issues.
Because they are Somali pirates that have taken our people hostage, our own prison population, the domestic prison population, feel very resentful towards them, which means you have to separate them out within already facilities that have reached capacity.
These are the expendable foot soldiers. But when successful, piracy has had a positive economic impact on Somalia. The monies received in ransom payments filter down into the economy of regions where pirates are based. And with virtually zero foreign fishing in Somali waters, fish stocks are recovering and inshore fishermen's catches are healthy. The pirates aren't the only ones profiting. A huge anti-piracy security industry is flourishing, providing armed guards for vessels, often at exorbitant prices. And insurance companies charge massive additional premiums to any boat operating in the region. High-tech cameras on patrolling aircraft provide essential evidence. This footage was used in court in the first prosecution of pirates in Seychelles and highlights the pirates' techniques. Behind each mothership are towed 2 smaller skiffs. These are the attack vessels. The usual pirate crew is around 11. When a target's found, a team of pirates board each skiff, armed with AK-47s, rocket-propelled grenades, and ladders. Attacks usually take place around dawn, the pirates having stalked their prey during the hours of darkness. And in the first grey light, these hyenas of the sea strike.
Although out of that 11, 7, maybe 8 are what one could call foot soldiers, there's always 3 bosses. And you can tell the age range, it's pretty obvious who's in charge. And from time to time, those that detain the pirates will be able to tell us, suspects 1, 2, and 3, they were the ones giving the orders, they're the ones who are telling the others what to do, and it's pretty obvious who are the leaders and who are the followers.
Some of the cases that come across Michael's desk are worthy of a Hollywood script.
There was a case called the Talenduic and the Cap Saint-Marie, which were both French tuna fishing vessels. These are large vessels, maybe 130, 140 foot in length. They're quite big. And they are very easy to pirate because the aft end is like a slipway into the water, out of which they roll their nets. And they were out at sea, I think a couple of 100 miles off Mahe, and the Cap Saint-Marie had engine problems, and she was dead in the water, in addition to the fact that her nets were out and she couldn't get her nets in. Her sister ship, called the Talenduic, was nearby when they were attacked by some pirates. And the Cap Saint-Marie is in real trouble. She can't move. She's literally a sitting duck. And the Talenduic, upon board there were some French, there's an onboard security team, acted as a protector and sailed around the Cap Saint-Marie, fighting off the pirates, while the Cap Saint-Marie, the divers were in the water repairing their rudder as the firefight went on. But the French were able to fight them off and win the day.
No ship is safe, not even the Patino, flagship of the EU force.
On the 12th of January, we received an attack from a group of pirates in a boat. It was about 45 minutes before the sunrise, so it was in the dark. Also, it was a day of very rough sea, so for us it was a very big surprise.
60 kilometers off the Somali coast, 6 pirates on this small skiff fired shots at her and tried to board before being repelled and captured. Courage or desperation? Most likely neither. As a fleet auxiliary ship, Patino doesn't have the classic lines of a warship and was mistaken by the pirates in the grey pre-dawn light for a slow-moving cargo vessel.
The pirates showed a tremendous willingness. This day was a day of a very rough sea with waves of about 3 or 4 meters, and it was a very windy day. They are quite far from the Somali coast. Probably they were at sea for more than 3-4 days. So for me it's impressive that they stay in these conditions and all this time at sea.
Somalia is one of the poorest countries in the world. Patino had been waiting to escort a ship carrying food aid into Mogadishu. A quarter of the population relies on overseas assistance to keep them from starvation. Ransoms paid for the return of captured tankers and freighters can run into many millions of dollars. Quite the incentive for poor fishermen living in starvation in a war-torn African country. To many in the poor coastal communities from which they come, they're regarded as 21st century Robin Hoods. It's not just big ships that they target. The pirates will take any vessel they can capture. They'll also hold individuals hostage until a ransom's paid.
For me, they are not pirates, definitely. I would not be calling these people pirates. Pirates were somebody who come and steal your clothes or whatever you had and let you go. But these people, for me, they are hijackers, kidnappers and all that. Because they don't worry about your boat. It's about you. They know that it's from you that they're going to get the money. Not with the boat. The boat, they can sink the boat.
The Seychelles Coast Guard never know when they'll be called on to deal with a genuine pirate attack. Today, the Air Patrol have spotted a fishing boat from which divers collect sea cucumbers and have radioed Topaz to investigate. The crew take up battle stations. Every situation at sea is treated as if it could be the real thing. This crew have all experienced first-hand encounters with pirates. The flight from the Civil Defence Force captures every moment on camera. In a coordinated operation with their sister ship, Topaz launches an armed boarding party. This turned out to be just an exercise, but the Coast Guard have had to carry out life and death rescues in identical situations, such as the rescue of Stephen Barbie and his crew on board the fishing vessel Faith.
There was one pirate sitting over there. He gets shot in the arm. The bullet come from here. You can see it from inside up there.
So shot through the outside?
Yes, coming from inside. And it finished here. See from here?
Yeah. Wow.
And at the back, the one that gets shot in the leg, I can show you. And here also, the bullet came from inside the cylinder, but we were lucky it was empty.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but the boat will have been exploded.
Yeah.
And there's a big oxygen bottle over there also. See from here, the bullet just pass through here. That's the one over there.
Wow.
That's the one that hit the pirate in the leg and he died.
Whoa.
He died from here. You can see it from over there too.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Every day, there's blood every day, all over there. The bullet came from here. Everywhere there's piece of meat, blood everywhere.
Yeah.
In every church in the country, prayers are said for those still held captive by pirates. In such a small, tight community, everyone knows everyone, and each pirate strike reverberates throughout the whole nation. Seychelles is one of the world's biggest exporters of tuna. And fish has always been the staple diet of Seychelles. B.T. Huaro addresses an international fisheries convention on the pirate problem. His thoughts are with friends, fishermen who are still held hostage in Somalia.
As I speak today, I understand they are still alive, but not well. They cannot be well, being held hostage in a foreign land with hostile people, having an AK-47 behind your back. A man cannot be well. Our fishermen are traumatized with the prospect of facing a Somali pirate with an AK-47.
Piracy has meant that rather than fishing across the whole of the plateau, fishermen are restricted to the southeast of the islands. With too many boats fishing there, not only have catches dropped, but the actual size of the fish has reduced too, a clear sign of overfishing. And due to shortages, prices have risen on the local market. Those who do brave the Outer Banks are taking massive risks.
And now the navigation is dangerous. You cannot make your route at night with light on. You have to switch off all the light, everything. In a total darkness, you have to just go like that. All of the boat is like that. You don't have a radar. Some of them, most of them, don't have a radar. You don't know if there's a boat in front of you or nothing.
The risk of collision is preferable to capture. None of them want to go through the ordeal that Gilbert Victor suffered. The first Seychellois to be captured, Gilbert was held hostage by the pirates for over 6 months. And as negotiations for his release seemed to have broken down, despair haunted his every day.
We cannot do anything now, but definitely next week, early next week, we are coming for you. You know, if you were in my place, what would you do? You'd be happy, say, oh, I'm going home. And then next week, nothing. Next week, nothing. That was when we lost contact with whoever was doing the negotiation. Because the last time we heard from somebody in the authorities was in June, and we were only released in September. What do? You go down again. You go down again. That's when you start crying again. You said, oh, then it's finished. And then from that date, it was the 12th of June, nobody talked to us again. I was only talking to my wife. When I was stealing the phone, I had to go and steal. I was risking myself from being shot, stealing the phone from the boat, because after they caught us, they put us on they caught another Taiwanese fishing boat. They put us on this boat. So that was when everything went wrong. And on that boat, that was where everything was very bad because of the different nationalities. So there we were under guns all the time, being watched by these people.
On board the hijacked Taiwanese fishing boat, Gilbert came to realize that to his Somali captors, life was cheap.
Just think of how bad it can be. If one guy said to you, if you die, another one will come. That's the way of thinking. You can die in Somalia just for your flip-flops.
Even when eventually released, the ordeal still wasn't over.
And in a small boat, we ended up being capsized some 200 meters from the shore. And just imagine being on a boat for 6 months, where the order was you sit and sleep. You eat, you sit, and you sleep. No exercise. There you are in Indian Ocean, in rough seas. Talking about big swell, big waves coming onto the beach. But you know, you have to be strong. You don't just say, okay, I'm going to die. It's better you die in front of your family. Because you die there, let's say you drown, they leave you on the beach. They're not going to bury you. They leave you on the beach.
After almost 7 months, Gilbert and his wife and family were eventually reunited. Yet despite his ordeal, he's gone back to sea.
That's my life. I've been doing it for over 30 years now. What can I do? If I was a carpenter, I'd go and do some furniture, but I'm not.
Gilbert wouldn't tell us the full story. While others have written books, he says he just wants to forget and will never do another interview.
If it was not because of me crying, I would be telling you the story, but
on waste ground by the docks on Mahe Island lie part of the flotilla that has brought world shipping to its knees. Crammed as many as a dozen or so aboard these tiny boats, despite all the international efforts, pirates continue to head hundreds of kilometers out to sea in search of their prey. Drums of fuel take up most of the deck space. Cooking's primitive, shelter non-existent, sleeping space minimal. Most, when arrested, have open sores from exposure to sun and salt, and many are suffering from malnutrition. No one knows how many are simply lost at sea, running out of fuel and dying of dehydration, or drowning when their boat sinks. So who are these pirates who are costing the international economy an estimated $12 billion every year? And who are making the seas off the Somali coast the most dangerous stretch of ocean on the planet?
I found them to be very, very simple folks. I also found them to be very, very indifferent to the circumstances that they were facing. Despite having advised them of the severity of the charges that they were facing, they did not appear too overly concerned about the potential personal consequences to them.
They've got nothing to lose, these guys. Nothing to lose. The foot soldiers, I mean. We've heard stories about them being paid $500 or the first one on the bridge gets a Mercedes. If they are successful, they earn money and respect back home. If they're not successful, they're expendable.
For them, it's just the money. They want your money because they think that everybody, apart from Somali, everywhere else in the world, people are rich. But the people there's no rule there. There's no government, no chief of police. Everybody is the chief of police. Everybody is the chief of army.
Despite the powerful and technologically advanced force mustered against them, the scourge of the Somali pirates has not been contained.
Piracy is definitely increasing in its range and evolving in its nature. It will continue to do so. As long as there is a possibility of capturing ships and human beings and holding them ransom, they will continue to do that for as long as the state of Somalia remains a failed state. Basically, the problem of piracy lies on land in Somalia.
The massive international effort means that the inner islands of Seychelles have been made safe. But the problem of Somali pirates remains. Until the failed state of Somalia is once more ruled by a strong government, and until poverty, lawlessness, and desperation are no longer the driving forces, there will always be young men willing to risk their lives in small boats.